I'm Mike Ahern, and I'm about to go one-on-one, one-on-two, with Bob and Tom.
After 4 decades of reporting the stories that shaped Indiana's history, now he's bringing you face-to-face with today's newsmakers. This is Mike Ahern, one-on-one.
This is the Bob and Tom Show.
Hello.
Bob and Tom, Bob and Tom.
I never get tired of this, man.
They have been radio partners for 28 years, broadcasting from an Indianapolis studio to a coast-to-coast audience tuned into some 150 radio stations nationwide. Bob and Tom, whose irreverent humor, clever skits, and musical parodies have been starting our days with laughter at 6 o'clock. Along the way, they've raised millions of dollars for charity with more than 50 comedy CDs and DVDs, introducing rising young comics to a national audience, and all the while earning radio's top honor, the Marconi Award, 5 times. Bob and Tom are with us now on our very second broadcast on One-on-One. Thank you, gentlemen.
Our pleasure.
A little past your bedtime.
It is.
10:30 at
Yes.
night. Aren't you usually
It's all right. We'll just stay up all night.
Into your REM sleep by now. You know, I got to tell you a story. I used to drive my son to school back around, I think it was about 1984. And I just heard about this two young guys, or disc jockeys, I guess you were still called back then, who were on the air. So I tuned it in, and my son was like in the 5th grade. And I became an instant fan because your stuff was so clever.
Thank you.
But after one of these skits that was a little more adult-oriented, my son turns to me and he said, "Dad, what did Bob and Tom mean by that?" And I said, "Oh, they're just being Bob and Tom."
Good answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you guys started in '83.
Right.
And tell us about how you met and how that got going.
Bob and I were both living in a beautiful resort community called Harbor Springs, Michigan.
I know Harbor Springs, Michigan.
And Bob was with the Young Americans, a
Right.
traveling theater group, excellent theater group that Bob is still on the board of trustees of, funny enough. And I had left a radio job in Florida, was up in Harbor Springs, recovering from some minor surgery, met Bob, and we started working together up there, and 3 years later got an offer to come here, and that's how it started.
Yeah. When you were working separately, though, how did you find the dynamic to work together? Whose idea
Well,
was
actually,
that?
I would work 10 to 3. Tom would work 3 to 7, and Tom would come in early and go on the air with me about 1 o'clock, and I'd hang till about 5. We'd just be messing around on the air. And
By messing around, Bob means, for example, setting my news on fire.
I've been
stuff
through
like
that, yes.
You know, we were just being boys.
Totally
I mean,
serious.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be on the air, and our booth was this little tiny studio.
Yeah.
I mean, it was smaller than this desk, basically. I can remember being in there all of a sudden going, and my wastebasket was on fire. So you can see the high quality professional-ism that we brought.
Well,
to the-
it's funny now, but at the time it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I've been through
it
that,
is,
yeah.
especially when you're on the air. So.
Did you have any idea when you started out 28 years ago, I guess it was, that you guys would be together this long?
No. No, we actually, when we were offered the job here, we said, "Oh, well, this is great. Well, let's plan on a year, and we'll call and see if our old jobs are ready after that year." And obviously, we didn't have to make that call.
Yeah.
In the world of radio, you know this from being on television, you had a great career and still have a great career. You're still in the same city. In radio, it's like WKRP. Remember the TV show Moving
Sure.
from Town to Town to
Cincinnati,
Town?
yeah.
It's kind of unheard of to stay in the same place for any period of time. So.
Yeah, we worked with a lot of people. You know, one guy had been in radio 16 years and had been in 16 different cities. So we're very
my
fortunate
goodness.
to be a staple here.
Well, why did you, obviously, as I said earlier, you're nationally syndicated now. Why did you decide to stay here? Because it would seem to me, if you were in a larger city or perhaps more of a media conscious city.
We were offered jobs in Los Angeles and New York and other large cities, but you know, we at the time their contracts would not allow us to leave. And we also just loved Indianapolis. It's a perfect sized city. It has everything except for the ocean and Disney World.
And the mountains.
Yeah.
Aside from that, we got it all.
You can fly to those places.
Well, I know one thing. Your show has been, for years, a launching pad for a lot of young comedians. They purposely come on your program to get that exposure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Guys like Tim Allen.
Oh, really? Tim
Garrett.
Allen?
Oh,
got the-
sure.
yeah.
Brad Garrett.
Yeah, Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond was on our show all the time. Lots of them that have gone on to, Ray Romano was on our show. Lots of these guys, they still are. We just had Brad Garrett on.
George Lopez. I mean,
George Lopez was, George, the first time he ever played outside of Los Angeles, he was the middle act at the Downtown Comedy Club here. And we really liked him, and so he ended up being in town for 2 weeks because the middle acts would stay over, and he came in every day. And after that, George would come stay either at my house or Bob's house forever. And he's obviously gone on.
he was actually part of Tom's wedding party when he got there.
Really? Wow. You, I was going to ask you about the concept of the show itself. Has that changed a great deal over the years, or once you got your routine established, did you pretty much I know you got a
I think,
larger,
you know,
larger staff now, obviously.
Yeah, a larger staff, but I think our job is to make fun of the world, and we've been doing that since day one, and that really hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, you can open a newspaper and you got tons of material.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's essentially, it's an ongoing conversation that started 28 years ago between Bob, myself, our staff, and everybody out there listening, and now emailing and tweeting.
And we'll continue our conversation with Bob and Tom here on One on One after this.